welcome to this episode. We are well into 2024 now. I don't know how the weeks have gone by so quickly already, and I'm excited to have the opportunity again, privilege even, of being interviewed by the one and only Shinemi. And I'm not even sure. I think it's just conversation.
Yes, we're just chatting.
Exactly. And I am also here for the tea.
Okay.
I'm also here for the tea.
Oh,
right?
can we let the audience know that you just figured out what that means?
I just figured out what tea means. Tea means you're here for information, conversation, getting some gist.
Yes, exactly.
I'm here for the tea.
Yes.
I'm going to use it with a client of mine.
Okay.
He'll be so how are you? I'm like, I'm just here for the tea. And then,
I'm sure you're like,
we're on
what?
Zoom. Where's the tea?
Where's the tea? Do you mean
Like,
dinner?
You know what's going on. So no, this is good. So in this conversation or episodes, Shinemi is in charge,
Yes.
asking questions. But who knows? I might throw some questions your way.
I would not be surprised.
You'll not be surprised, right? Good. So over to you.
Fabulous. Thank you for having me once again. Your
And
recurring guest.
It's looking like many more times to
Many
come.
more times to come. I think me and you should just run this podcast.
Exactly.
Let's change it to.
Like, we can shift
Let's
it.
add my name.
I'm totally open to it, Jeremy, because you are a natural and we have great conversation.
Oh, I'm really excited. I'm looking forward to it.
And we also came in with you gave a good title to when we discussed, which is lessons in living, loving, and leading with an executive coach.
Yes.
And I am that.
You are the executive coach. Come on.
Thank you very much.
I'm loving this 2024 energy.
Yes, I'm ready for 24.
Okay, so I'm going to start again with some dad jokes.
Come on now. I wouldn't expect anything less.
Okay, so the first one is, why can't pirates finish the alphabet?
Why can't pirates finish the alphabet? Help me.
They get lost at sea.
Where did you get these jokes from?
The internet has a lot of gems.
Okay, carry on.
Okay, what do you call an angry doctor?
An angry doctor. I am struggling, so I'll let you
I'll just,
put me out of my
misery.
misery.
No. I'll put you out of your misery.
Out of my misery.
Yes,
Okay, I was like misery. Okay.
Yeah. So an angry doctor is called a therapist. Therapist.
No, Shannon, this one. I don't know how these people get this thing.
Okay, last one.
Tell me.
Who can drink 5 liters of petrol and not become ill?
5 liters of petrol and not become ill. I can only think of a car doing that, but that's it. You said who, not what. So
Jerry can.
Oh no. Oh no, Jerry can. Oh no. Okay.
Honestly,
Okay.
it's so good.
I'm actually reminded on Instagram. I see this post of 2 guys usually sitting on like a deck by the sea or by the waters, and it's this kind of jokes, and I find it so hilarious because they keep a straight face, and the jokes are like, oh my god, how do you think of these things? I'll find one for next time.
Okay, oh my gosh, so funny. All right, let's get into the tea.
Please, let's get into the tea.
So it's a new year. Are you a new year, new me vibe kind of person, or do you just feel like the new year is a continuation?
So to be honest with you, I used to be a new year, new me kind of person, but I found that I became quite frustrated.
Do tell. Do spill the tea.
Yes, because I would set too many goals. Number one, I would also set unrealistic goals in terms of scale of what I was trying to achieve.
Yeah.
And I would also set too many sort of New Year resolutions. It was all based on unrealistic expectations. And so by the time I'm hitting end of January, I'm already disappointed. You know what I mean? So I had to stay. So first and foremost, what I actually did was I started this thing where I say I start my year in September. So finish the summer, come September, October, it's a new year for me.
Yeah.
And then December going into January is just a Christmas break.
I get
and
that.
so that helped me. First of all, it helped me be more productive, I think.
Yeah, and
in terms of
your
the academic
mindset.
calendar, change my mindset. And what I added to that was maybe trying to change 1 or 2 things. Right? So it was no longer new me, it was better me.
I like that. I like that.
Right?
Because I feel like people feel this pressure to sort of reinvent themselves come every new year.
Exactly.
And it's just not realistic.
It's not realistic. And, so for me, was it better? I mean, what way do I want to be better in 2024 now? And that just a lot more manageable.
Yeah.
So not as much pressure.
Exactly.
Because I even find, some people, the goals that they're trying to set or what they want to achieve, if they were to be honest with themselves, no, they don't really want to, or they don't really want to set that goal. But how do you get into a year? One person says, this year I want to do this. This year I want to do that. And then you are like, actually, I want to just maybe continue what I've been doing and relax a little bit. You seem like you don't have any ambition.
No ambition, no drive.
No drive. Like, who are you? You shouldn't be in my friend circle. We're not trying to dominate it. You don't want to dominate the world. Now, like, what is your big goal for 2024? Just have one. One. It's nothing. I would do other things. I would achieve a number of goals, but just one big
major
goal.
Focus. Yeah, and how has that changed? How does that set up your year for even just achieving that goal? Do you find yourself doing like small little things here and there and then receiving new goals as you go?
Yes, for me, it is this sense of make every day pay tribute to your goal, even in a little way, right? So because I'm so clear on what the one focus is, so this year for me, I'm calling it a year of writing.
More books on the horizon?
This is it, right?
Wow.
So in Q1, it's the book I started that I'll be releasing. The title is a little bit long, so it skips my mind right now. So that's one. Number two is the journey, right?
Yeah.
So Vona and I had our first baby last year.
The cutest baby boy in the world.
In the world, right? And so I want to write that journey. It was a very wild journey, and I want to write about that. So that's my big goal in terms of writing that book. And then I'm restarting or unpausing my doctorate. Yay. Because they gave me the deadline. We'll start again in January, you're done.
He said, sir.
Exactly, right? So I'm starting again, and a key part of, when it comes to doing a doctorate is reading is good, but it's only when you write that you actually begin to crystallize your thoughts and actually think thoroughly. And that goes for anything, really. Yeah. Thinking of stuff, write an article on it, and you really get your thoughts clearer. Yeah. And so for me, when I say it's a year of writing, whether it's writing for my doctorate, writing newsletters, or writing my book, at the end of the year, there's going to be a number of set things. My reputation will increase. Yeah. Because the things I'm putting out in terms of being a thought leader, people are going to get to know me more, hopefully. Yeah. In terms of writing my book, it's a book everybody's going to want to read.
Definitely.
You know what I mean? Few men talk about infertility and that journey.
Exactly.
And so I'm focusing on this one thing, but it's going to affect every area of my
life. That's so true. And it makes perfect sense when you think about it. When you break down your goals in that way, it also feels more achievable.
Exactly. And I'm not going to be writing every minute of every day. So, maybe I'll dedicate an hour or two a day. Yeah. Chunks of time I'll block out a week. What that then means is, because success breeds success is what people don't get. Yeah. So if I'm making advancement towards a clear goal, when I'm not working on it, I'm more likely to be more productive on other things as well.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
It's psychology. I do that for a living in terms of coaching. That's how it works. Yeah. As opposed to burning out trying to achieve 5 goals averagely and getting frustrated. Yeah.
And I was even going to ask, how are you going to balance all of that? Because things are happening.
Things are happening. I mean, the truth is, on the doctorate one, I like to be practical and realistic. So on the doctorate one, I actually decided I was not going to do it anymore. Like when they sent me the email and said, look, you need to make a final decision, I decided I wasn't going to do it. But everything from speaking to friends, speaking to, some family members, my wife, my mentors, even people that I just kind of by chance met in the course of doing my work or my business, everybody was like, you have to do it. Not you can't, you need to.
Non-negotiable.
Not negotiable. You know what I mean? One of my mentors is 20 years older than me. Yeah. And I was speaking to him about some of my plans and some of the struggles I had in breaking into some areas. And he said to me, Uche, we've had this conversation. You need to finish your doctorate.
Because if not now, when?
This is it, right? Yeah. So that's why I'm doing it. Yeah. But the reason I struggled the last time was I tried to do my doctorate on top of everything else. Which meant it fell behind.
Yeah.
And so if you look at my calendar now, I've blocked out a day each week that it is research day.
Strictly.
That means that I'm not going to be able to deliver business on those days.
Yeah.
So does that impact business? Yes. Or maybe I just start getting paid more for doing less. I like where you're going. Which is my goal. To say, okay, it doesn't mean it's a mindset
Let's work
thing.
more money.
Yeah, it's a mindset thing to feel like because I'm not delivering as much, it means I'm going to make less money. If that's what you believe, that's going to be your reality. Right? But I spoke to a woman who is, again, further along than me in the space that I work. And she commands 3-4 times what some people in the space command. How does she do it? Firstly, she has a doctorate, but number two, so I think it's either a doctorate or best-selling book. But I'm making the time for it.
Yeah,
and I think that's a key lesson that people should take.
Yeah, short-term pain
for long-term gain.
Yeah.
Say that again.
Short-term pain for long-term gain.
It's a beautiful quote that I heard it first from my pastor, Pastor Bimbo. I think it was originally from John Maxwell, and she said, "Pay now, play later." And as you're going through 2024, just your life, you need to constantly. It's a constant parallel that there's some things you're able to enjoy now because you paid the price later.
True.
And there's a price you should be paying now for what you want to play and enjoy later.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a constant parallel.
Yeah.
And if you're not having enough play areas in your life, it means you're going to be paying the price. Right?
Yeah.
Right? And if you're not paying any price now for certain things like me going back to do a doctorate, then I'll be successful in the future, but maybe not to the extent
that you desire,
that I desire or
that
can
you can achieve,
and the doors that it's going to open, right?
Exactly, because like you said, like this doctorate is going to open so many doors.
Absolutely.
That you end up working less and making more money.
Absolutely.
But you have to be willing to sacrifice now, which might look like no more movies.
Don't say that. I don't put
you.
But there'll be those sacrifices.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And look, the truth of the matter is, like when you said about, and I'm saying this to inspire someone, not because I'm there, but because of what is possible.
Yeah.
So is a mentor of mine. When he does a coaching engagement over the course of, let's say, a year, typically takes a year, his retainer is something like 30,000-40,000 pounds.
Just for one gig?
Just for one coaching program, where he's coaching the leader over. And you typically meet with that person once a month.
Right.
And maybe have odd conversations in between, but really is once a month because they're busy, the CEOs, and he has a waiting list.
So he's booked and busy.
You know what I mean? And then you have, Simon Sinek doesn't have a doctorate. I don't think he does. But he's written like 4 or 5 New York Times best-selling books. I don't know if this is completely accurate, but I know he commands something like in the excess of over $100,000 for giving a speech.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So, and then if you look at Adam Grant, he's a professor and has written many best-selling books, but all very much research focused. Yeah. So you don't look at people who you aspire to be like and just hope for it. So if you're not taking away the time to do the research like Simon Sinek did and write a best-selling book, and for years nobody knew who he was, but he came out with a book and a model that changed the game, and people still reference. Or if it's my mentor, or if it's Adam Grant, those are all popular names in the kind of executive education or development space, then why will it be any different for you?
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And people in their space do that a lot. They have all these aspirations, but they're not paying the price to become what they say they're going to become.
Exactly.
So different needs to be different.
It needs to be very different. And we're going to even dive deeper into that. But there was something I wanted to say in just thinking about balancing everything. Because I'm sure people listening are also wondering the same thing. There are probably people that are writing books and doing so many different things. And there was this short clip I saw. And this guy, he's a writer, I don't remember his name, but he had written many best-selling books, I think particularly for kids. He was a school teacher, and he was having a meeting with this lady who was also like wanting advice on writing. Yeah. And then she asked him like, how did you manage to like write many books while teaching school? And he was like, so for example, now you were 17 minutes late. This is not to shame you, but in those 17 minutes I wrote. So it was like using every single moment to write. Because I think sometimes we think we need the perfect time, or I don't have enough time, or I have to be doing less to be able to write. And it's like, no, he just used his 17 minutes that someone was late to write. And imagine doing that, finding these pockets of time. Before you know it, you have a book.
Yes. Don't scroll on Instagram in those 17 minutes.
Exactly. Even though that's easier to do.
Much easier to do.
Yeah.
You know, and so I'll give you an example of this because we are using the context of writing.
Yeah.
It could be anything else. It could be becoming a better golfer. It could be becoming a master chef.
Yeah.
You know, it could be that you retrain in AI. I don't know what it is. But the point is, you can get a new skill and become pretty adept at it in 1 year if you just use the pockets of time and you zone into it.
Yeah.
So if I give you one of the reasons I say it's a year of writing is because I remember when I did my newsletter, I committed to saying one newsletter a week for 1 year. That was my commitment. And I could see my writing skill improve dramatically. And so for me, saying it's a year of writing is because I know that whether it is doing a doctorate, I'm going to write loads of books.
Yeah.
So I want to almost master the skill, get a system. How do I think? And when you read authors who have best-selling books and have written quite a bit, you begin to know that they have a way. So there's a guy, John Bevere, who I'm loving these days, and he's written 20 books. Each book amazing, but haven't listened to, I think I'm on maybe 15 or 16th audiobook. As I listen, I'm beginning to see his method. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
I'm beginning to see, okay, I see how he does this. I'm beginning to see his system.
The secrets.
And I'm learning. And there's another guy, he's called Doug Hayward Mills, right? He's a big-time evangelist and author, written probably over 100 books. In like manner, I'm reading his books and you can begin to see a system.
Yeah.
And I'm getting inspiration for my own system. And if I've done that solidly for 1 year, then it becomes part and parcel of who you are. And you can write much quicker in the future. So find that one skill you want to master in 2024 and just, zone into it.
Yeah. And it's something I wanted to touch on because when we said when the guy was waiting, he could have either been scrolling on Instagram or writing. And it's easier for someone to scroll on Instagram, for example, because I feel like in our everyday lives, we're quite busy. So we're always looking for some sort of comfort or relief. So what do you think? I want to touch on just busyness. Do you feel like you're busy or productive? And how do we handle that? Because I feel like a lot of us are just so busy. Like it feels like there's so much going on.
Yes. I think it's a great question you ask. And I like the fact that you differentiated between business and productivity. A lot of people are busy and not productive. I was in a leadership sort of session being done by a mentor of mine, actually my pastor, Pastor Shola. And he actually said productive. The root word is product. There's something that has come out of this 1 week of business. Or there's something that is coming out of it in a month.
Yeah.
But if you get to the end of a month, 2 months, 3 months, and there's no in quote product to show for why you've been so busy, you're just busy.
Wow. You're just busy doing.
Because productivity is that you're producing something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even if it's you becoming a better version of you.
Yes.
And you are 3 months through a 6-month course. Great. But there's a product out of it. And so if you cannot show me at the end of, let's say 2023 is done, right? If you can show me at the end of 2023 what you produced.
And you were just busy.
And you say I was doing my job. Yeah. Understand that time is, there's no such thing as a static growth. You're either progressing or regressing. So you could have gotten to the end of 2023 doing your job. You didn't read any new books.
You
didn't
gain new information,
gain
new
any
habits.
So you regressed in your career. You regressed. That's what actually happened. And so don't let that happen in 2024.
So do you think that that's maybe why people don't zone in on their goals, is because they're so busy? Because I feel like busyness drains your energy, whereas productivity fuels it.
I love it. You said it, I did, and that's a beautiful way of looking at it. Business drains your energy, productivity doesn't, and you can even see why business would do that. Because you get to the end of the week, you've been so busy, you are tired. Well, part of the frustration is what do I have to show for it? And that becomes kind of like a vicious cycle. It becomes a vicious cycle. So I genuinely agree with you that business drains energy, productivity fuels it. Because success breeds success. You do something and you're like, I did that and I can go. Interestingly enough, and I'll just throw this in. There's always something about just starting. Yeah. So the guy that said he wrote a book in 17 minutes, he was already writing. Yeah. When my book, Count the Cost, I had written the bulk of the manuscript. And I can't remember exactly what happened, but I kind of just left it. And it was probably almost about 9 months, probably being busy, and having a clear goal. But 9 months, 10 months had gone by, and I just thought, you know what, I'm kind of out of this space. I want to write something else, so I'm going to just leave the manuscript.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, Uche, but you don't start what you don't finish. That's a principle of my life. So people need to think of their fundamental principles.
So maybe that's what we need to start outlining this
You know what I mean?
for. What are my fundamental
Principles.
Yeah.
You know, I don't start what I don't finish. Start small.
Yeah.
Right? Grow big is another fundamental principle. Don't rush it, crush it. Is a principle I go by. Pay now, play later.
Bars.
I have a number of those fundamental principles.
We need this on a t-shirt.
You know what? I think
we need merch.
I think you've confirmed something, because when I remember those titles because they are principles I live by, but I also use them for like my newsletter titles when I was writing like, articles on them to explain the philosophy.
Yes.
And I think it was don't rush it, crush it. And I thought I want to wear this on a t-shirt. I think you're confirming it.
Let's run it.
We know it's my year of writing, but I think I might get some merchandise.
Into some designing.
You know. So how did I finish that book, Shinemi?
Yeah.
I literally said, okay, I realistically cannot commit a chunk of time because I've overcommitted myself. And that's part of business. People overcommit.
Exactly.
I said, I'm going to write 20 minutes a day. I kid you not. That's what I did. And the first month or less, the 20 minutes was just rereading the manuscript. And I fell in love with the book again. I was like, this book has to come out.
Because you're probably feeling a bit like,
yeah, I'm like, oh my God,
I
wrote this. I read that story. I'll read a story that I wrote, and I'll be like, that's what I need right now.
And then that fuels you to go again.
And after I read it, I just started now working on the manuscript 20 minutes a day. Can't remember how long it took, but in a good chunk of time, not too long, I was done. I had the manuscript done, completed.
Little day by day.
Day by day.
That's all.
Make every day pay tribute to, the important things in your life.
Yeah. Well, that's really exciting. So now I want to dive into a bit of like leadership and get your thoughts on mistakes that you feel that you see leaders make.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll lead with the first one that comes to mind. And the reason I'm leading with this one is it's resonated when I've used this phrase with a lot of leaders recently. And I said, the problem is you're not transitioning from player to coach. A lot of leaders rise, become successful, let's say in an organization, for example, or even founders, because they are really good players. Think about a founder. A founder is right there on the pitch, fully playing, and they're probably playing multiple roles.
Yes, exactly.
When you start something, you don't have the money
wearing so many hats,
to employ people. Similarly, somebody who is promoted in an organization, you are a star. Yeah. And so you get those promotions. Right? Now, when you've gotten the promotion, there's a lot of value and identity tied up to your performance, as in you doing the doing. Yeah. Leaders struggle when they don't transition to coach. And sometimes the transition is first player to player coach, because in football you have that. You do have some people who are players but also coaches. They're very rare, but you do have that. And then you go to coach. And coach is that point where you have fulfillment and performance, but through other people.
Yes. So it's no longer it no longer has to come from you.
Exactly. And so a key issue you find with a lot of leaders is delegation.
I'm struggling to let go.
Why do they burn out?
Oh, why? Why do people struggle? Why do we struggle with delegation?
We struggle with delegation because, for one, there's a little bit of pride. Nobody can do it as good as I would do it.
So a lack of trust as well in
there's
other people.
There's a big lack of trust in other people. Number two is there's a way you do it, but that is just your way.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that's the best
Doesn't mean that's the best way or the only way.
Yeah, true.
There might be other ways that are as good.
That will still yield the same results.
That will yield the same results. Yeah. So there's a shift around sort of like identity, I think. Yeah. And then you just have some people, quite honestly, are just control freaks. You know what I mean? They just like to control. Yeah. And I learned this. I'm just dropping, nuggets today from speaking to from my pastors. But Pastor Bimbo said something to me one time, and she said, Uche, you have to give up to go up.
Ooh. Wow.
Yeah, she said you have to give up
to go up.
some of these responsibilities, and you will feel it's a transition period. You will feel a little bit like, because that's what you're used to.
Yeah.
And you got the accolades because someone patted you on the back and said, "Well done."
Yay! If not for you,
and you love it. And so she showed me, and she said, and I've taken it from her.
Yeah.
That work yourself out of the job. If you are good, if you're truly good and you are a star, there's no way the organization wants to lose you.
Absolutely.
So I think that's something people can take. Give up to go up.
That makes a lot of sense, because your fear of not giving up could also even be holding the organization back.
Absolutely.
Imagine how much better they could do if you give up.
Exactly. And one point that comes to mind, and I'll finish with this point on this topic, is a rocket. Think about the rockets being shot to space.
Yeah.
Think about a rocket going, and you see it dropping what it does not need.
Yeah, dropping off weights
it does not need. And so that image comes to mind. And I think as we go into 2024, I think there's an element here of, whilst we were talking about delegation and leaders giving up to go up and empowering people, that's all amazing. But I think we need to look at ourselves in the mirror and begin to think, what do we need to give up? What are some of the weights that are limiting us from becoming everything? Some of these weights that we're talking about, Shinemi, is who do you need to forgive? You know what I mean?
That's a big one.
Yeah, that's a big one. Which there's a book, Deadly Emotions, about the impact negative emotions has on your body.
Yeah, because I think people think that it's just up here and you're okay, but it takes a toll on your body physically. Some people are actually sick because they haven't forgiven.
Exactly. So forgiveness is just one example. Other examples will include, what habits do you actually need to just say, okay, no more. I need to give this up. Yeah. And I'm reminded of one story. I'm not saying anybody should do this. I'm not saying anybody should do this. Disclaimer. But we had this conference, Shine Your Light conference. For those who don't know, Shine Your Light it was good, right?
It was. Every time I think about it, I smile, because I'm like, I'm so privileged to have witnessed that day. I'm so happy I went. And we have
the next one coming up in November. So Shine Your Light meets.
Far.
It is, but we meet every month, right? So we meet every first Monday of the month, and we're going to have master classes in between. Okay. But in the last Shine Your Light conference, we had a guest, right? His name was Rodney. And he gave examples of, so now he is a managing partner of a VC. They raised 25 million pounds. Crazy. In this case, what makes it even more crazy is completely black owned. Yep. Right. And that's not normal. So
we don't see that every day.
You don't see it every day, and it's not a problem. It's not about black, white, nothing like that. But it is an amazing thing. Yes. Kind of like if you saw a teenager do something amazing, it's like, wow. Grown men can't do that. Yeah. So it's an amazing thing. But if you remember his story, I don't know how we got here, but we flew, right?
We flew.
He said something amazing. He said, when he was in banking, he knew it was time to leave, and he left the job without a job to go into. In that transition period, he was volunteering a charity, figuring out his life. He went on some holidays. Yeah. And then a friend called him and said, look, this guy's this fund is starting, and I think you should speak to them. He didn't have fund experience, but he's been a banker, so he went, interviewed with them. They loved him, and the speed at which they needed him to start, he would not have been able to take the opportunity if he had not left. And then he joins this fund. He's doing the fund. It's going well, and he again feels it's time to leave. I've reached my point here. He leaves without a job to go into. And he's specifically now looking for a job that will give him a particular experience, fundraising experience. Yeah. And again, within months, when you're good, you don't stay on the shelf for long. That's like, and so he gets the job, and then he starts to do that new job, gets the experience. Again, he says it's time. And he leaves without a job to step into, but now he said, I'm going to raise funds for my VC, him and his partners. And in raising the funds for the VC, he thought maybe in the next 6 months. It took 18 months for them to do their full round of, fundraising. So things got pretty tough. Yeah. Because 12 months on top of your 6, it's a lot, no matter how much money you might have saved. Yeah. My point is, though, many people would look at him now and be like, amazing, he's done this. But he had to be willing to give up things so that he can
go up.
So no risk, no gain. No pain, no gain.
Yeah.
No risk, no reward. No
Yes.
pain, no gain.
Yeah.
I don't know how we got to that point, but
No, it's true. Like, I think that there's so many things that this year we're going to have to just like take a moment. First of all, sit down.
yeah.
Don't, maybe everyone listening, just pick a day, schedule the day to just be a reflection day. What are your principal values, and what do you want to focus on, and what weight do you need to let go of in order to move on to your next level?
Say that again. I'm going to take it off. I'm going to do that myself.
To schedule a day,
Schedule a
you're
day.
doing nothing.
This is
You're
it.
going to identify your principal values.
Principal values that guide your life.
That
right?
guide your life, exactly. Your principles, your non-negotiables, and then you're going to zone in on what you need to focus on.
Yes.
Don't give yourself too many goals. Just
My year of writing.
exactly, and then you're going to identify weights that you need to let go of. So the things that are keeping you down and
I
not
love
allowing you take off like the rocket that you are.
I love it. Weights you need to let go of. And you know
Exactly.
why I like that? Whether you are a university student or
Yes.
you are the global CEO of the biggest organization,
Yeah.
those three things.
All applies.
Because even if you say what are your principles that you live by,
Yeah.
some of them you already know, but the question is, are you actually living by it?
Exactly.
You know, when you say don't rush it. So I spoke to a lady who is like really successful. I'm going to have her on the podcast at some point. We're talking about doesn't necessarily need to work success. Whether it's house paid for, car paid for, investments that mean she can fund her lifestyle. And she goes, going into 2024, one of the things that her principles in life is not being complacent. And she said, I've gotten to a point where I can be. So in 2024, I'm intentionally pushing myself. So you might even have a principle that you have, but you've not been living.
That's true.
And you have to revisit and say, this is who I am. And
exactly.
I need to
bring
do
that back. Yeah.
Exactly. And then reduce the goals from 10 to 1 or 2.
Yeah, just start from here.
This is it.
Then we now work our way up.
But the weights one is a big one.
Yeah.
What weight do you have to drop? You may not say now, but does anything come to mind?
I think fear.
Really?
Yeah, I think.
What do you mean?
I think fear of putting myself out there, and fear.
I agree with you.
Yeah, fear of putting myself out there and fear of failing. Sometimes that stops me from doing the things I know that I can do.
Yes.
Because I feel like, what if it doesn't go well? People are going to laugh at me. And it's like, who cares? Who actually cares?
Yeah.
Nobody's looking at you. And even if they laugh, okay, nobody died from laughing.
This is true. You know, as you were saying that, one of the things that comes to mind is, I think every successful person that we admire would have had that. In the sense of, at some point, people would have laughed at them until that laughter turned to admiration.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Imagine the person who tried out, failed. Let's take one of my idols, Barack Obama.
Yeah.
You know, when he says to his friend, I'm going to the Democratic Convention. And then he goes there and he comes back and says, how was the convention? And like, wow, I didn't get in, I was in the car park. I'm like, you know, they're going to laugh at him. See you.
Yeah.
You want to be senator, you can't even get into the convention and you're meant to be. And guess what? A year later, he was the keynote speaker at the convention.
Look at
Oh,
that.
things
Look
can
at
turn
that.
around in 1 year. You know? And so they would have laughed at him, but now they're admiring him. And on that point about failure, I do think that, and I don't know if this is encouraging, but it's the truth. Failure is necessary.
Exactly. That's what I've come to realize. It took me a while to understand it. But I was like, okay, like now it makes sense to me that. And I think there was this quote by, I don't know who, but they said, if you're not failing, it means you're not making decisions. And I was like, fair enough. So it's just reshaping my thought process on what failure is.
Yes.
That it's a necessary step. It's not a bad thing to fail. It's necessary to fail.
It's necessary. I don't remember who said this because I read many books, as we can see.
Yeah.
And the person goes, they ask, if you're going to be successful, if somebody came to you and said they want to be successful, what is your one piece of advice you would give them? He's a really successful guy. And the successful person said to him, fail faster.
Yeah.
That was and you know, sometimes and we have to look at failure not in the context of some huge failure, even just the small
the
mistakes
little
you're
things,
making as you're going along make you get better.
Yeah.
And there's a good book to read, Shinemi. I hold you accountable.
Okay.
And I hold the audience accountable too.
Yeah.
John Maxwell, Failing Forward.
Failing Forward. Okay.
It's a really good book. It
I
really
think I need
reshapes
that.
your mind on this issue of failing. And one simple thing I would give to people that helps me is it 4 letters or 3 letters, 4-word sentence. I can handle it. Like whatever happens.
Yeah, I can handle it. Because I think sometimes we're afraid that, okay, what happens if it goes all the way left? How would that impact me? Would I crumble? Would I lose it? But it's like, actually, it'll be fine. What's the worst that can happen?
What is it? The worst can happen.
When you really think about it,
I can handle it. That's the point I'm making. That the worst can happen. Because I read books that was like, doesn't matter. No, it matters. The worst can happen. And when the worst happens, it will be painful. Yeah. You will cry. Yeah. You will need somebody to help you wipe your nose. Like that's the level of the depth of pride. Yeah. But after that, you'll be able to come back.
You'll be okay. Like there's nothing that we cannot recover from, I believe.
Ooh! Yeah. I like it. Yeah. There is nothing that we cannot recover from. Do you have any final question?
Final question.
Before we go.
I think this is not a question. This is just a statement.
Tell me.
Or rather, no, it will lead to a question. So I want us to say what we're most looking forward to in the new year. Okay. And I'm looking forward to failing.
You're looking forward to You're looking forward to failing.
Yeah. Like I'm looking forward to making mistakes and not always getting things right. Because I think that's another thing. I don't like making mistakes. I don't like getting things wrong. Yeah. I like to be on it. And so I think making mistakes would help me break that fear of getting things wrong.
So one of the
little mistakes, not life-changing, life-altering mistakes. Just like with business, like maybe getting certain things wrong and maybe not having it all figured out.
Yes. Yeah. Actually, I have an idea for you, which I think applies to, everybody. Because I was speaking to a potential partner recently, and I said to her, "This new side of business that I'm going into, how do I begin to have conversations with my clients who have known me to be doing X, and now I'm saying I can also do Y? How do I make that shift in their minds that I could do both, or at least I want to focus on this?" Yeah. And she said to me, "Give them a call, tell them you're trying to schedule a quick conversation, you want to run something by them, and rather than pitch the idea to them, explain the concept, the model, because a very clear model to help organizations become more healthy. Explain the model to them and ask them for their thoughts. In explaining the model to them and asking them for their thoughts on this whole concept and what they think about it, they are selling themselves on the idea. And in because she was like, that's how she grew her portfolio. Wow. Exactly. I thought this was an amazing idea. So in like manner, because the concept sells itself. Yeah. But if you're telling people, what do you think and how do I improve it, and do you have this issue? Also, you have this issue, and do you think this will help you? Because I was like, amazing. So I know that you are starting a new arm of your business. Yeah. And so I think it's doing that. It's calling people and saying, I want to run this by you. This is the model. This is what's going on. And people sell themselves on the idea. Yeah. And because they're connecting with you. Yes. Because in explaining what you are doing and what may be of value to them, they are seeing the issues they have. Yeah. Why this would be useful. And because of the expertise you show, they are sold. So this is a mini coaching in the moment. And somebody in the audience, I'm sure, in our community is like, yeah, that's useful for me.
Free tip from the executive coach, guys.
The executive coach. I'm going to create a particular niche that makes me D in that niche. Yeah. Because when I think of my mentor, I'm not D. My mentor is miles ahead. So you're most looking forward to failing. Yes. I love it. At the end of January, I'm going to ask how many mistakes, how many failings. Okay. What am I most looking forward to? Yes. To be honest with you, I think I'm most looking forward to holding, if not the finished book, the completed manuscript of my journey to fatherhood. Yeah. Because it's been a very difficult journey. Yeah. And I think the reason I want to write the book is really because I don't feel that there's enough of a male perspective. Absolutely. Like we don't hear it. Yeah. And men talking about infertility, I don't know anybody. That's it. Before me, I don't even know anybody who, and I always say to myself when I go to the doctor, and I'm going to the fertility clinic. And in that clinic, there are other men. And I'm like, where are you?
Wow.
What's going on?
Why are we not hearing you guys outside?
And they're stoic. Even I'm like, dude, you're here. Like,
Shoot, we're all here.
like we're here. So there's nothing to be stoic and all macho about.
Yeah.
There's a reason you are here.
Yeah.
If you didn't need to be here, you would. This is not the room you want to chill in.
Yeah.
So I really want to get that message out there and just talk to men. So I'm going to do a little bit more writing on that, and then even maybe a couple of podcast episodes just addressing that issue.
Yeah. No, I love it.
Good?
Oh, thank you. This has been fantastic.
This has been good, man.
I'm gingered.
Yes. So we've come to the end of this episode. Thank you very much, Shinemi, again for joining me.
Thank you for having me. My pleasure.
If you found this useful, pay it forward. Like, comment, and please share it. Also ask questions. There's a box to do that in the episode notes. And until next time, stay blessed.